Hi, everybody, and welcome to the August meeting of the Bike Walk Commission. I'm the chair, Tanner Thompson. Also in attendance, looks like we have Commissioners Nick Pappas, Manny Salgado, and Emily Berneman. Also, we welcome Greg Pacelli from TMP and Deline, our ever-present note taker. Thank you, Deline. We're going to roll right into it. First, as always, we have public comment. We have 15 minutes set aside at the beginning of every meeting for public comment. Actually, you know what? We have one announcement that I added to the agenda. Greg, it looks like you added it to the end of the agenda. Maybe it makes more sense. I bet we'll have more people attending by the end than the beginning. So we'll do it in the order written. So yeah, I'll turn it over to any members of the public who have comment. If you have comment, please raise your hand on Zoom, and we will let you speak your comment. Going once, going twice. Alrighty. If we have time, as usual, if we have time at the end of the meeting, we'll open it back up in case there are members of the public who haven't arrived yet. Without further ado, then I think we'll go on to Greg. Greg's got several updates from TMP. Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah, so just starting out with the Wall Street Corridor project. So we're currently working on setting up a date for the next Wall Street public meeting on the rest of the corridor for the next phases. Phase one, of course, is planned between Main and Brook Street is planned, right now, late summer, early fall to begin. The contractor, which is Waters Construction, has already received the notice to proceed, and they can start construction as of today, actually. The contractor will start to mobilize at this time, survey, start laying everything out. And as far as lay out the site and start dropping off materials at the designated sites as well, and prep for the drainage installation, which is first. We're currently looking to lock in a date for the groundbreaking, which will want to coincide with the actual excavation work and equipment on site to kind of plan for that first. So that next meeting will kind of coincide after the actual excavation and the actual groundbreaking occurs. So it's still going to be held sometime this fall, but it's just we're going to set that first until we set a date for the public meeting. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, questions about the Wall Street project?
All right.
I have one question, Greg.
Yeah.
If I recall, at the last public meeting, the concept that was put forth was not a full concept. It was what, maybe a 30% concept? Is that
So
right?
it was just a concept plan. So what we'll show will be 30 to 60% plans.
Okay, so it will be something that reflects work done. So it'll be like farther along than we saw last.
Yes. No, much further along. Yes.
Cool. All right. Thanks. Then yeah. Next up, I think we have the connectivity grant bike route.
Yeah, so we have to finish the Richards Avenue and Philo Street. So specifically Richards Avenue from West Cedar Street up to Philo, and then Philo Street from Richards Avenue to Fox Run. So those roads are set to be paved as part of the Public Works Pavement Management Program. It's supposed to be paved sometime this month. So once it's paved and the curbing has been installed and the road is ready, then we will do the pavement markings once that's been completed. So hopefully, by September, October, everything should be fully completed as far as pavement markings are concerned.
Gotcha. Do you mind saying those street names again? You said Philo. They hear Richards as well.
So it's Richards Avenue and Philo, and specifically it's Richards Avenue between West Cedar and Philo, and then Philo Street from Richards Ave to Fox Run.
Okay.
So that's where we'll pick up where the paving left off last year. And we did that, because the pavement was in very poor condition on Richards Avenue and Philo Street. So putting any pavement markings on until it was set to be paved, we weren't going to put new pavement markings on, old existing poor condition asphalt.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Does that get us to the north end of the
It does,
the
yes.
route?
Yep. Because Fox Run, Ponus, were completed last year.
Oh, okay, so that very northern end is already completed. It was just this gap with fellow
This
Richards
this
that
is the
wasn't
only
completed.
remaining portion. Yep.
Gotcha. Awesome. Okay, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I asked for this one on the agenda just for everyone else's context. Last month we had a member of the public ask during public comment about cycling facilities around CT State, the college formerly known as NCC. And I wanted to make sure that we had good information about exactly when that's getting done, because a big part of the reason that we picked this route, I mean, I say we as if I was involved, this was before my time, but a big part of the reason that this route was picked was because it serves NCC. And so I'm looking forward to more NCC students being able to use this to get to school.
Yeah, and that southerly portion was completed last year between Route 1 and West Cedar, as the road was paved last year.
Sure. Yeah, and I guess people coming from the south, students coming from the south can use that. But the member of the public we had last month, I think, comes from the north, which is why it was raised. But anyway, thank you for the update.
Yep. As far as the Route 136 Fort Point Street bike facility restoration, so Eversource Gas will be they will be restoring the pavement markings that were previously torn up as part of the walk bridge work that was being done in the area. So we're just waiting on their scheduled timeline to restore those pavement markings, but it is up to them as part of the agreement to restore that.
Have they communicated their timeline to you or no?
They have not. They're supposed to be doing it this year, but they have not said committed to a timeline yet. They have to coordinate with the striping vendor, so there's a lot of coordination that needs to take place, but we're just waiting on them to let us know when it's going to be done.
Okay. Any other questions about that from commissioners? Alrighty. Next up is the Complete Streets demonstration project that was held, what, 6 weeks ago now?
Yeah, so I mean, we're still collecting feedback. We were hearing a lot, largely positive comments from the public. We're still collecting the feedback, and we're looking to leave it up at least to the end of the season. To continue collecting feedback and seeing how the public feels about it. And like I said, feedback's mostly positive, and we're going to actually look to make that head crossing closer to the West Avenue side, where we added that crossing. We're trying to make that a permanent crosswalk and add ramps there. And so that'll be an additional crosswalk. But for we're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna keep collecting feedback and hopes for as part of a long-term project address that. We have North Main Street. We've requested funding on a future out year as part of the capital budget for funding to do a study on. So we're hoping to get some funding and use this as a good base for that future plan as well.
And so this is a future plan for that immediate area for North Main?
Well, yeah, well, as far as like the study, look to study the corridor, and this is a good base to start off with and see how this worked, and then we use that as part of the planning document moving forward, ahead of design work.
Yeah, I understand that the demo project dovetails nicely into this into a study and also an application for funding for a study. But are you looking at a study area that's much bigger than just that one intersection?
Oh yeah, no, of course, yeah. It will include like North Main Street into like the Sono area.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Other questions about that? I had one other follow-up question. I kind of alluded to it in my email when you were asking for agenda items, Greg, but beyond written comment submitted to TMP, are there other results that you've been gathering? I think this topic came up in the last meeting, and you alluded to something about that. I want to make sure I'm not making stuff up, but I want to say something about monitoring traffic counts or speeds or stuff like that. Are you doing any of that, and has the data come in yet?
No, so we haven't looked at that, and we don't have, unfortunately, as part of this, we didn't have the funding to collect as much data as we would have liked. That would require a lot of technology to incorporate that, especially, the volumes probably wouldn't change, but more on the speed side. So we're just taking comment, once we get into the planning aspect, that's when we'll start seeing a lot of that real work done once we have that, corridor study, funding for that being scheduled. So right now we're just taking public comment based on, how everybody sees it, our speed's slower. Are we seeing more pedestrian activity? Do pedestrians feel safer with this outline of the road? So that's what we're really taking right now.
Gotcha. Okay, last chance, other questions about the demo project? All right, design guide.
Yeah, so we're continuing our review with the design guide. Like I said last month, this is very detailed portion, very granular information that we're reviewing right now, word by word, throughout the various documents that are attached to the design guide. Design guide, the roadway standards, looking through all that information. So we're just coordinating with the vendor, with our consultant right now, as we edit it and have conversations back and forth. And we're going to continue to go through that process. And then also with Public Works as well, that's kind of the next step, is to continue to go through and continue to coordinate with them as well, because the whole roadway design manual, is also going to be rewritten as well. It's going to take a lot of aspects from the old one as well. It's not like it's going to be a complete rewrite, but we are going to have a lot of newer items in there. So we'll have to, we're going to continue to go through those standard detailed drawings as well. And it's all going to, operate together. Where the other ones were older documents and, kind of pieced together. So this will be a fresh start for everything.
Great. Any questions about the design guide? Or the process of creating it? All right. Last item on here. Yes, I asked for this one to be added. Just some context for the other commissioners and for members of the public. I guess it's still 2024. Earlier this year, we the commission put some work into preparing an application for the recreational trails grant. We did kind of run out of time. I worked in part with TMP on this, and I asked Greg to add an item to the agenda here about TMP's openness to start those efforts up for 2025. I heard through a friend of a friend that it is likely that this grant will get renewed for the upcoming year, and so I want to try and be get out in front of it better than we did last year about lining up a potential grant application for this grant. So I guess part of my question for TMP is, are there potentially other sites around the city that you're looking at that would be a good candidate for this grant? Do you have preliminary plans for applying for this grant? And if so, how can we help out? How can we be part of the solution?
So in discussions we've had, we're at like max capacity right now.
Mhm.
We are supportive of this study, of course, and we've had those meetings with other surrounding towns. And it is something that we would like to do, but we have a lot of grants. We have a lot of projects that were funded for construction that we need to move on. And right now, we just don't have the staff availability to take on an additional grant and spend a lot of time on. Because even if we are still 6 months or so, 7 months out, we're still limited in staffing resources, various planning studies going on right now. The Route 1 corridor study, that's very involved in what we're working on right now, as far as the planning study is concerned. That just started kicking off. The complete streets as well, which is going to continue to run through the rest of the year. So that's just a couple of just planning documents alone that we're currently on right now. We just don't have the availability and resources to undertake an additional grant by ourselves.
And you're saying that you also don't foresee having that for the next 6 or 8 months?
No.
Okay.
No, we don't see that. Now, if it's something that the Bike Walk Commission wants to take on, then that's certainly that can be it. An additional thing, Tanner, we discussed this, is it's a match. So we don't have the funding for that match. So it's something that's going to have to be requested as part of the upcoming capital budget cycle.
Yeah. So that's something.
But we
where
don't
need
even
your
know,
help,
but the
right?
best, the thing is, we don't even know what that amount is.
Yeah, and this is part of the discussion that we started having in the last round,
Yeah,
that there's a little bit of legwork that needs to be done in order to come up with that number.
yeah.
I'm wondering if we can, if as some of the first work that we would need to do to get out in front of this is to do that little bit of upfront work to come up with a number so that that number could then be included in the next budget cycle as a capital request. And obviously, we won't know if that'll be approved or not,
Right.
but that's like a step ahead of where we were last year.
You're right, but that's gonna take engaging a consultant to get some estimated pricing on what it would take. But in order to get that, we have to come up with a comprehensive scope as far as what you're asking for.
So, and that's what I would want to work together with you, with the whole department on, whomever is available. If nobody is available to do even that much work, then perhaps that's the answer. But like, this is work that we've already started doing months ago. We put together a draft scope, but we're lay people. That's not work that we can do to the same degree that you can.
No, and I get it. And that's the thing is we can't commit to spending a lot of time on this. And that's why, we asked that the commission do the due diligence on how much is going to be needed, work is going to be needed, come up with a scope and a timeline from when it's due, the actual application, and work backwards in order to meet all those milestone dates.
Well, then it sounds like I'm hearing two conflicting things. Because on the one hand, I'm hearing that you need us to take on the work
Yeah.
of coming up with the scope of work. But on the other hand, what I'm hearing is that we're not qualified to do that because
Well,
we're not
no, you
professionals.
guys are going to have to do that. I'm saying if you want to do it, we'll still be, as an oversight portion, anything that you submit, we ask that you submit to us. But as far as the actual legwork itself of developing the application, it would have to be up to the commission to take on.
Okay, so are
Because
you
you
saying
guys
that
aren't going to be the ones that are managing. If it all works out to where we have a consultant on board and it all goes through, the Bike Law Commission isn't going to be the ones ultimately running the actual contract and hosting public meetings.
I get that. What I'm trying to get to is I'm trying to get to the point where we have a number that can be included in the capital budget request.
Right.
Because once that's there, that's kind of out of our hands, right? It's up to the powers that be to approve
Yeah,
or reject
that
it.
point, and the mayor would have, to approve of the budget item. But in order to even get to that point, you'll need to get the estimate with a consultant to determine how much it would cost.
Yeah. So is that something that you're willing to work with us on in advance of the budget season?
Well, I would ask that the commission do the legwork and figure out how much work has to be done. I don't know how much you guys have reviewed. I don't know how much time you spent on it. That's something that we would put on you guys to determine.
Okay.
And then come to us. We're not going to be handed a halfway done application and say, hey, finish the rest of this.
Okay, let's take the rest of this offline. Where I'm coming from is that we did do a considerable amount of work back in March. I haven't picked it up since then,
Right.
but I'm thinking that now is the time to start picking it back up so that we have plenty of lead time as opposed to picking it up, in January.
Right. We're not going to drop everything to help assist this through all the way.
Yeah, that's why I'm starting the conversation now.
No, I get that. I get it. But I'm just saying, with all our other projects, we're not going to drop something that we're close to construction on something that we're going to start a feasibility study.
Yeah, I get it. I get
So
it.
that's why we asked that the commission do the legwork, do your due diligence, read through the application.
Greg, we did that. We did that in March. We did that in March. I brought it to you guys and you said, we can't work with this.
Yeah. Okay.
So let's take this offline because I want to actually get somewhere with this.
And so do we. And then another outstanding thing also too is Darien.
That's true.
Darien is not committed to anything.
Well, yeah, but neither has Norwalk. Let's take this offline. I understand that there's still work to do. I'm just saying that I want to instead of going in circles, I want to actually get somewhere with this.
We're not trying to go in circles either. We're just trying to say that if this is something the commission wants to do, you guys are going to have to take on a bulk of the work.
Okay, I hear that. We heard that back in January.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did that.
Okay. All right, well, we
Let's
didn't
move on.
really see a completed application with estimates.
Okay, I think we're still not seeing eye to eye on this.
Okay,
Let's take this offline. I don't think that it's productive to do it in this meeting.
okay.
Um, I think that was the last thing on the TMP list. The next thing is the web page. I'm going to turn it over to Emily.
Thank you, Tanner. I just have, and this shouldn't take the full 15 minutes, but it was the same document we looked at before, probably at the beginning of this year. I'm going to try and share my screen here. And it's not our official website, but it's a web page that's hosted through the Norwalk Health Department website. So this is the document I have here. And just to remind everyone on this call who may have not seen this webpage before, it pops up under the Public Health Department. It's under their program and services. We have a Norwalk Bike Walk Commission page here. So some of these links are outdated, some of them are redirects, and some of this information needs to be freshened up. So earlier this year, we had a working group. It was Jalea. I think I brought this to the attention of the Bike Walk Commission in another one of our meetings. But basically, it kind of turned into a process of refreshing our goals and mission and just making sure that all of the content that we have on here is in line. So I'm hoping just to quickly look at this today with everyone and make a motion just to get this like phase 1 updated on the Norwalk Health Department website. The minor tweaks are really just the freshening of our goals, our mission, these logos, the bike friendly city honorable mention, which I added recently, and then opportunities to stay connected, adding our social links, adding our embedded Google Calendar, in addition to some more relevant links within the city, our bike parking map, and other relevant partner programs that we're involved with. So I know there's probably more information that we want on here. And I know, Tanner, I think you suggested having, another meeting outside of this one to review this information. I feel like we've done that a few times now. So I'm feeling pretty good about where this is right now. And then just having them update when I say they, I mean the Norwalk Health Department, Jalea and her team, have them update the page with this information for now. And then if there is more information we want to change or update, we can put that into a phase 2 update. But I figure, the Norwalk Bike Walk Commission, the task force started in 2014, so it's been about 10 years. I mean, the website probably has been updated since then, but I figure this is a good opportunity to freshen up the content there and backlinks. I don't know
Emily.
if this is something we have to vote on or not, actually, but
I don't feel like it is. I mean,
okay.
If a quorum of commissioners feel like this is something we should vote on, then we can vote on it. But I think originally what we kind of did is just delegate the work to you, and I appreciate you servicing it in this meeting for visibility. I appreciate the work. I think this is a good step forward. I think it's cleaner than what we have now. So thanks for the work. But basically where I'm coming from is I don't want to burden us with, overburden us with process. Like I don't think we need to vote on every single little change. But if we do vote on it, I approve, and I thank you for the work.
Excellent. Yeah, I just need the okay from our team to let Jalea know to get it updated on their site. But I'm feeling confident in where it is, and it involves some of the work that we've recently completed, like that honorable mention for the bike friendly city, and then that calendar of events that we keep updating. This will just help, spread that awareness and our social links as well. So those key things, just getting those on the website would be great. And this isn't even our website, it's the health department. So it's good promotion through them as well.
One request, Emily, could you add a link to our strategic plan for 2024 somewhere? And if you feel so moved, maybe write a couple sentences.
Definitely, I can do that. I'll make a note of that there. Anything else, Manny or Nick, that I know I haven't, I'll send this link to you guys, but if there's anything that you don't see on here that you want to see, Manny, I know we're working on an educational materials kind of database, so I'm hoping to get like our videos on here eventually, but I figure, you know, as we continue to work on them, we'll find a way to get them integrated.
Yeah, I think it looks great. Yeah, like I think maybe in the future, what you're saying would be awesome with adding like a video component, or maybe even like, yeah, exactly what you're talking about, the media stuff.
Mhm.
I think it all looks great.
Ooh,
Great.
another thought, this maybe is something we pulled into the next round of updates, but Nick's gonna talk later in this meeting about the bike valet. And once we do a couple more of the bike valets, I think I'm hoping that it kind of matures into something that we have, you know, some digital assets for, something that we can, you know, write about on our website and say, hey, if you want us to come to your event, here's what you can expect. Here's some pictures of how we've done it before. You know, here's maybe, you know, a contact form or something like that, right? But like a place where if somebody is, you know, knows that bike valets happen in Norwalk and they're Googling around for it, that they can find it on our page.
Definitely. That might be phase 2, but we'll get it there. And I know,
Yeah,
yeah,
no
Nick's
rush.
gonna talk about that. Okay. Okay, that's it for me then.
All right, other questions about the website, feedback for Emily, etc. Alrighty, we'll move on to the next one. Sorry, I've got my tabs all mixed up here. The next item is the budget. So I had an offline conversation with Emily and also with Nick. But I think we can just transition right into having that conversation in this meeting. So when it comes to planning for a budget, as most of you, hopefully all of you know, our budget runs from July through June. That's how the fiscal year for the city of Norwalk works. And that means that if we want to use our budget to its fullest, that we need to do so by the end of June. The money needs to be actually spent and dispersed by the end of June, which means that it behooves us to start planning early. I think that we've done a little bit better at that recently than we have in years before that, but there's a trap that I think we still fall into, which is that every time we discuss the budget, I think we do so in a way that end up bringing up just a couple of ideas and spending most of our time that we've allocated to discussing the budget to discussing these one or two ideas. And that leads us to make rush decisions and also decisions that aren't based on very many options. So what I'd like to propose is that we have a discussion about the budget that is based on individual lists that each of us spend a little bit of time outside the meeting thinking about, and that we all bring a handful of ideas that we have already put, you know, not a ton of work into, but a little bit of work, enough to maybe have like a rough cost estimate. It's hard to have budget discussions without an idea of how much something costs, and that's another trap that we often fall into. So I think the original idea, I forget if it was Nick or Emily who put this on the agenda for today. I think it would probably, my favorite approach would be to punt the actual discussion of individual items to next month and have each person come up with a bit of a wish list with some, they don't have to be exact cost estimates. You don't have to have like an invoice ready to send to Greg, but an estimate that's enough for us to make some like prioritization decisions with, you know, anywhere from like 2 to 6 ideas per person. And that way we can like put them all on one list and really like get a representative list of like all the things that we we might want to use our budget for. So although I have some ideas that I'd like to throw out, I want to have all the different ideas on somewhat equal footing. So yeah, what I'm going to throw that idea out there. What do you all think?
So to ensure I
think 2 to
understand Cass
3.
correctly, you want us to come up with a wish list that's like the items we want to add to the budget, as well as a approximate cost to said items, and maybe send an email. And
Yeah, I would, to be concrete about it, I would say exactly what you said. Send an email to me, or we can establish somebody else who wants to run the process. It doesn't have to be me. And then that person gathers them all. And then when we come to the next meeting, we can put all of the ideas on, on a brainstorming list together to avoid, I guess, I feel like the issue that we have often is that one person brings up an idea and then we immediately start discussing that idea. And we get biased toward, the first 1 to 3 ideas that get brought up. And we spend all our time discussing them.
yeah, I like that idea.
Emily?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I don't know if we necessarily each need 6, potentially 6. I think, yeah, 2 to 3 sound good. Or
Yeah, I just don't
'cause-
want to stop anybody who feels, moved upon.
yeah, I think that's a good idea for next meeting. Yeah.
Manny?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I'm willing to put in a couple of items in there.
Great. I'm happy to lead the process, but if anybody else wants to, I'm happy to hand off that responsibility as well. Is anybody interested in aggregating the ideas from everybody?
Will you put it in a shared Google Sheet? Most likely. Do we have one from like past budget spend by any chance?
I have a sheet that I've used to keep track of ideas and also what's been spent, but I think it's just like a one-off sheet that I used for last year. It's not like a master sheet.
I think it'd be great to just create one document that we can all just dump it all onto.
I agree with that, except for at the very beginning of the process. Part of what I'm trying to avoid is people getting distracted by other people's ideas. Like I think once we get to the meeting, that's the time for that, right? Where people can see each other's ideas and we can kind of feed off of them. But what I want to do for the very first step is keep them distinct so that each, we don't all kind of gravitate too soon toward one thing. I heard about this like a while ago from somebody who said that this is a best practice in brainstorming. I did a quick Google search and I can't find any evidence for it, but I like the idea of it and I want to try it.
I almost feel like maybe it should be a form we submit and then, it'll turn into a Google Sheet. But I'm thinking
I don't know if we
part
need
of
that
me
much
would
automation.
be part of me is thinking it might be nice to see what we spent money on last year too, just to compare and see if we can, whether it needs to be the same or we accommodate certain price or, certain parts of our budget to the same thing and we know we'll need that versus, what new possibilities that we could be
Yeah, I
allocating
think that
budget
could be
to.
helpful for people. I agree.
I think
Greg,
that's a good
is there
reference.
an existing report like that you either already have or could generate easily?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Then I will compile what I have and send it out.
Okay, thank you, Tanner. I'm happy to help if you need help. I did a brief inventory of what we have in the storage units, and I know this isn't exactly applicable to budget spend, but it might be
Well,
nice just to.
Didn't you ask for
no
this to go on the
supplies we
agenda?
have.
I'm realizing now that it didn't make it on the agenda.
Our budget spend or
No,
inventory?
the inventory.
It's on there.
I may.
Oh, I must have
it
missed
is.
it then.
Inventory
Thank you.
on
Cody.
item.
Oh, budget expenditures and inventory. Yes, okay, it is there and it's for right now. So go ahead.
Excellent. Well, so I don't have a sheet put together yet, but I had a Post-it with a list on it, which I also don't have. But offhand, and I took pictures of everything too with Greg, and I think we confirmed at the Norwalk Night Out event that we have both the taillights and the headlights together now. So in terms of bike lights, I believe we have the full set.
Yes, shout out to
bike
Ben
lights?
Young, who dropped those off at our booth for us. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you so much. And then we have, I think, a thing of helmets still. We have water bottles. We have some more of those backpacks. We have a lot of supplies for the bike rodeo that Christine had left over, like stickers, kids' activities, a lot of print materials too. Bike locks. We had two or three big boxes of bike locks as well. And I had remembered that at last year's Norwalk Night Out event, they were giving those out. So I decided not to bring those to this year's event just to keep them the same. We have road signs, we have the tablecloth. I said bike locks, the bike lights, the bags, the t-shirts. We still have a good box of t-shirts with varying sizes. But I will put this all on a list instead of looking at these pictures now, and I'll send that to you, Tanner, or of the team. I'll send it.
Yeah, just send it to the whole commission.
The team with all of.
And just as a reminder to everyone for future budget, I know we applied for it in, this summer, but the CTDOT micro grant, active
Yes.
transportation micro grant is up to $5,000 and it can be awarded twice. They do it quarterly, but it can be awarded twice a year. So that could be a potential $10,000
Yep.
to buy stuff such as this. So just something to keep in mind of, so we can allocate the money. Unfortunately, it's limited to certain things, but if we can use that money to purchase those items and then the rest of the commission's funding through the city operating could be utilized in other ways. So just keep your mind on that.
Yeah. Nick, we did successfully submit the application to the last round, correct?
Sort of. I actually got a follow-up earlier today on it, and it looks like they received the application after the June 19th deadline for submission for the second quarter. And we'd have to, after a few revisions, submit for the September 23rd third quarter deadline. And while we're on the topic, one question that was posed to me was if I could confirm that I'm an authorized signer for the municipality. I guess that's like a fair question. I'm wondering, Greg, or
Who posed the question to you?
Comment on that.
Did Condop pose that question to you?
Was it Westcott?
I don't know. There's nothing other than her name on the signature.
What's her name?
It's Kristen Floberg.
Okay, yeah. So she's with Westcott.
Yeah. Greg, can you answer that?
I'll have to find out what that means, what exactly they're asking for, because you are a commissioner, but I may not even be, so it may have to be someone from like the purchasing department. So I'll have to find out what exactly that means. Nick, would you be able to forward me that email?
Sure thing. Yeah, I'm guessing they mean like if we get the award, who's gonna actually handle like where the money gets sent to and like spending the money and that kind of thing, which like reasonably so I don't think would be me.
Yeah, so it obviously would come to the city and then it would be an additional spend for the commission. So yeah, just forward it to me and then we can coordinate with her just to get a better understanding. So this way there's no issues for the September submittal.
Sure, will do.
Gotcha. Nick, a follow-up question about that. Was the July 19th deadline ever clear to you? Like, did they tell you that was the deadline? Because I remember us all being under the impression that we were hitting the deadline.
Yeah, in short, no, it wasn't clear to me because obviously I thought we made the deadline. So yeah, in short, no.
Greg, was it clear to you, or is it?
They didn't really make it clear when it was supposed to be submitted. They made it, because it goes to Westcog, then to DOT. So they didn't really define when it had to be submitted to Westcog. So I think in this case, okay, we missed the deadline by a couple days, no big deal. Resubmit. It's the same one. Utilize it in September.
Yeah, I mean, if it's every quarter, it really isn't that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, we do it in September, we get the funding there, and then we can reapply again. For the first quarter in, 25 as well.
Yeah,
So we still have could potentially have $10,000 to spend, before next fiscal year.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that everybody on the call would like to win those $10,000. Like, we're
Yeah.
with you.
Absolutely. Well, we'll start with this one and, like I said, luckily they're, willing to, as soon as we address those minor comments, use the same application, utilize it in September, and I'm sure we'll be awarded. And then this way, we should have the funding and, we can allocate, that spend and save the the city's operating budget, that you
Yeah.
guys have.
For sure. So Nick, are you still interested and willing to, be the point man for this grant application, or do you want to pass it on to somebody else?
No, I'll finish it up.
Okay, thank you. So, just a summary of the action items I've been writing down. I'm going to send around the budget summary from last fiscal year. Emily's going to send a list of assets to everybody so that we have an idea of what we already have, so we don't buy stuff we already have. Greg, you're going to confirm about the answer to Nick's question about who's actually able to put their name in the application.
Yep.
And then Nick, this is a little bit longer term, but you're going to own the next application that we're going to submit on time this time.
Well, at least we know what the specific date is to get submitted by Westcog now, and it's clearly,
Oh, we do.
yeah.
What is it? September or something?
You said the 23rd, Nick?
Yep, the 23rd.
Okay.
That's the
Then
23rd of September, by the way.
yes.
Yes, September, yeah.
Okay, so that gets us 2.5 months. Am I doing that math right? No, it gives us 1.5 months.
Month and a half. But we already have the application fully done.
Yeah.
It's just a couple minor tweaks that
Yeah.
need to be made.
Nick, is it too much to ask to just have you submit that by the time we have our next meeting?
No, I'll get it done by the next meeting.
Great. Awesome. While we're on that topic, well, no, we can stick to the agenda. I was going to talk about our next meeting day because next month is Labor Day. I think, no, they're published ahead of time, right? It's already nailed down. We're not meeting the first Monday because it's Labor Day. We meet the second Monday.
Correct. The dates are already set in December of the previous year.
Yeah. Okay, so a word to everybody. We're meeting on September 9th next, and that's when that's Nick's due date for submitting the application. Awesome. Other thoughts about the budget and or inventory? Okay, I think we can proceed then. The next thing on the agenda is the Norwalk Night Out. Nick, you have a report for us.
Yeah, so I kind of just wanted to do a recap of the event and kind of get those who attended their opinions on how it went, see what went well, what could have gone better, that sort of thing. I think that one thing I'll point out is that it was like really, really hot that day, and I don't normally foresee the need for a tent, but like that event made me like consider that we should more normally have a tent around. And I know we used yours, Tanner, and I don't know that it's an issue to like just use one of our personal tents, same way that like I'll use my table and we use our camp chairs for these kinds of events. But I just want to bring it up if like anyone thought it was appropriate to perhaps get a tent with a budget, and also open the floor to any other opinions about the event.
I was also glad that we had a tent. And as long as I'm on the commission, I'm happy to donate the use of my tent as well as the table. But I agree that in the long term, especially if we can get into a good rhythm of, of pulling our whole set of assets out of the Yankee Doodle garage. If we have somebody who's, can streamline that process. If we also have a table and some chairs and a tent there, that might make sense. But I don't see it as urgent because I'm happy to use mine in the meantime.
I guess kind of on that note, the transportation piece of our supplies to and from events. I know I picked it up for this event, and admittedly, specifically the bike valet racks, they don't quite fit in my car the way I anticipated. Although you guys did give me feedback that it was unlikely that they would fit, but transporting those in along with like a tent and our other supplies, it just gets to be a lot. So I'm curious, and I don't really have like a question or an answer here, but I'm open to a discussion on how we can improve that transportation process. If there's someone on the commission that can have a reliable, mode of transportation to do that, I don't find it's something that we can do without a large car.
Well, unfortunately, we're probably the commission that, by virtue of our remit, is the least likely to own a large car.
Exactly. But I think, yeah, I mean, Greg, you've been incredibly helpful just getting us into the garage and, coordinating that with me. So I appreciate all your help. But yeah, on our end, I think it's a matter of how we want to, get those valet racks for when we do either table or decide to do valet racks at events and stuff, getting that to and from a place. I know Judd probably would be open to using his car too. So maybe just like coordinating that in a way that works. Because I definitely, the way it's set up in my car right now is not ideal.
I own a CRV. I don't know if that's big enough for that. Like, and I'm sure that could fit those poles.
Wait, Emily, did the racks actually fit in your car?
With great effort, yeah.
You just have to like roll down a window and stick them out the window. That's what I would have probably done.
They're secured in the car, but I definitely, the seat. I'm in a sedan, so it's like, and I won't have it for too much longer, so then I won't be the one, transporting the goods. But it's something for future events to think about, or if there is a commissioner willing to do that. I know Christine had stuff in her car for a while until we got it all consolidated into the garage. So I'm excited to, share the inventory with everyone. But I think, just in terms of the events and opportunities to improve that, maybe if, we had a volunteer or a commissioner with a proper vehicle to transport those racks, that would be a good plan to have in place.
Well, it sounds like Manny's CRV is better than anything that we've tossed around recently. So Manny, do you think you can try and be available for the next event? Yeah, the next event might be the Oyster Festival. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves on the agenda, but
yeah, I can. The only thing that I want to just get clarification on is the hours, because I know there's some unique hours where you have to pick things up, and so.
Well, I think now that it's at the Yankee Doodle Garage, a little more flexible because you can work with the LAS employees that are there. But Greg is probably the expert here.
Yeah, I mean, we just request it, you do it, within the working hours, I know it's you all work and everything, but, after hours, I can't guarantee anyone from the city or LAS would be able to, to bring you in and unlock the door. So it have to be done during the day.
Does work hours 8:30 to 4:30 or 5?
Yeah, if you could keep it between 8:30 and, 4 or so, just because, and it's also like Emily, she does a great job. She just reaches out and, provides some availability and, and then we just coordinate on a time that works for both of us, whether myself or Brian Lutz, who's our assistant parking director as well, to somebody who has access that can let you in.
Cool.
So we can get in the storage room.
And I can hold on to stuff like maybe even like a couple days in advance.
Yeah, no,
right?
that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Emily, you need to drop off some stuff, but I'll get to you on that, so we could coordinate on that. Today was a little bit of a hectic day. But yeah, it's fine if you keep it for a couple days.
Cool.
And I know it's also tough because, as much as, we have, the city has a bunch of vehicles, it's hard to get anyone, allocated time to actually pick it up, drop it off. And TMP, we really don't have those vehicles readily available, so it'd have to come from another department in order to make that happen. So it would just be easier if the commission could take that on, as far as picking up and dropping off the supplies.
Yeah, I'll volunteer to be, to use my vehicle for the next Oyster Fest, for the next event, which is the Oyster Fest.
Yeah, just usually, if you need it, by like Friday or something, you want to put, for the event, just email me like on a Monday, like, hey, what's the best time? I'm available these days at this, in this range. So this way we can coordinate.
What's
Sounds good.
everyone's
And it's
thoughts
really,
on allocating some bike walk budget to U-Haul rentals?
I don't know if there's any precedent for that. That sounds, that sounds like a great topic for next month when we have our budget discussion. Greg, do you know on its face if that is infeasible?
I know it's never been done before. This is a unique situation that other commissioners, or other commissions, I should say, don't have to deal
Don't
with.
put on events?
Putting on events such as this. So it's a little bit of a unique case in this sense.
I think in the short term, it's a lot less paperwork to have Manny do it. Like even if the U-Haul is completely kosher, it'll still require some paperwork.
Yeah, and
and it's
plus,
really Bike Valley racks. Everything else is in boxes or bins, so those can be transportable, but the racks are just like, those very long poles. I don't even know how long specifically they are, but
I think they're 8 feet, I believe, which I can't
Sounds
believe
right.
they fit in your car, Emily. That was quite impressive. You got
with
that
great
to fit.
effort.
Yeah.
The trouble's going to be getting them out. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Other thoughts? Oh, Manny, your hand's up. Thanks for using your hand.
Well, this wasn't in the, so I was kind of late to add something on the agenda item. So when it's appropriate, I'd like to just add my addition, but only when it's appropriate.
I think that will be at the end. Is there an existing agenda item that we could shoehorn it into? That's related, or no?
Let's just keep going.
Okay. Nick, other parts to the night out? Do you want to? Are you looking for additional feedback?
No, I think we're pretty good.
Cool. I wanted to add one other thing, which is that I'm very glad that the lights, we have headlights and taillights in the same place at a booth for the first time, I think in forever, or at least for the first time in years. I want to thank everybody who's helped us get to this point. Greg, Nick, Emily, Manny, all y'all. We finally have light sets that we can hand out. And I am relieved that we do. Also, I think we, Emily, you're the one who ended up with the sign up form, right? I left at 7 p.m. like an hour before everyone tore down, and I think we had a good 15 signups probably, so we probably got more than that ultimately.
We got 2 whole pages, and I put
Oh,
them
boy.
into our newsletter, and I sent it out today, so they are in our database.
Nice.
The emails I could read. Admittedly, there are some that were a little difficult to read, so I don't know if I accurately got everyone. I did get some bounces, so I tried. I'll send pictures though, just to make sure we have a virtual copy.
That gives me an idea.
On
I'm pretty sure we
our,
have a
Google
Google
Drive.
form for signing up for the newsletter. I wonder, and if we don't, we
Yes.
can make one easily. I wonder how easy it would be to just have somebody pop their laptop open and have the sign up form there for people to fill out, because then nobody has to read a written email address. And nobody has to type it in.
Definitely.
So just file that one away for the next event we do. If I'm there, I'm happy to donate the use of my laptop. Anyhow, next on the agenda is Oyster Fest. Nick, that's yours too.
Yeah, so got the registration fee budget allocated. We haven't started the talks with the actual Oyster Festival staff, if you will. I really wanted to try and get the certificate of insurance squared away before getting that conversation started. So I'd like to follow up with Greg. Greg, do you have any updates on progress for certificate of insurance for the Oyster Festival Bike Ballet?
Yeah, so I sent the submittal to the risk manager, so I'm just waiting to hear back from him. He was on vacation last week, so I think he came back today, so I'm sure he'll get to my email and give a response back. Shouldn't be an issue.
Cool, yeah. So we still got the rest of the month for that. I'm hoping to get that squared away, and if we have the certificate squared away and have payment squared away, then we can start looking at collecting volunteers for the 3 days of the event. And I think that's about it.
I think we can also mention that Nick and I are working on, along with a member of the public who's been very helpful. We've been working on a PowerPoint, essentially, a slide deck that we can use with the Seaport Association, and also, you know, potentially for future engagements, other event organizers that are wondering what the heck we mean by bike valet, and, you know, whether it's worth the trouble of integrating us into their event. Just a few slides, but that's why, Emily, what I brought it up earlier. Once we have something like that, it seems like it'd be a really easy thing to add to the website.
Yes, that's right. Thanks for the reminder. That should help us out a lot. And one thing that I didn't want to bring up, I know that we asked to discuss budget next meeting, but I would really like to bring up the topic at least of getting customized high visibility vests for bike ballet volunteers to wear, so it's obvious who's running the bike ballet, if you will. I think it just makes us look more official, and also makes it obvious, like I said, who's running it. And the Oyster Festival is September 6th through September 8th. So if we were to save this for next meeting, I don't think we'd really have enough lead time to actually put in the order. So can I hear your guys' thoughts on that?
My first thought is I completely agree that having something that sets us apart, that lets people know that we're not just like some randos off the street that are going to steal your bike, that would be very useful. I think in a pinch, perhaps even for the Oyster Festival, the shirts that we have would work. I actually didn't realize that we still had shirts. I thought we were out. But until we had the Norwalk Night Out last week, but we do still have a ton of shirts. So in the short term, I think shirts would be a lot better than nothing. But I agree that the high-vis vest would be even more effective, especially if we could get them custom printed with the Norwalk Bike Walk logo.
Yeah, that's what I would have in mind, like a bike walk logo and maybe something that says bike ballet on it.
Yeah, if we don't put bike ballet, then they might be able, it's a little easier to use them for other events as well. Right, Christine has brought up several times the idea of buying high-vis vests to give out, which we've discussed before. But I think that there's also the use case of, you know, anytime we volunteer for anything, whether that's a table at an event or a bike ballet, or if we're like, you know, volunteering at like Open Streets that we've done now 2 years in a row, having, you know, some official high-vis that says Norwalk Bike Walk would be cool. But I'm not trying to get too deep into the weeds.
Yeah, this would, or what I'm bringing up would only be for like people who are running the event, so to say. If I remember correctly, Christine brought up the idea to like give out as swag to just people who wanted to walk around more safely or bike around more safely. So
Yeah,
more generic. Whereas this would be more focused into like it was something that we would keep in a box in our closet or something, and then hand out to the people who are staffing the event, so to say.
yeah. All I'm saying is that if we leave off the words bike valet, then we can use them for other things. little easier. Maybe we could even have them say event staff so that we can use them for bike valet and open streets and other tabling, etc.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Do you have any reservations, or does anyone have any reservations with uh allocating some budget in order to like have it for the Oyster Festival?
I don't, I think it's a good idea, and maybe what, if we would, you know, it'd be good to maybe incorporate the vest, but that's more generic, like Tanner says, for more versatility, but then maybe if we had like something cheaper that was like a lanyard that said bike valet or something, you know, that distinguish that this is a bike valet person or something. Something that's less expensive, like less costly, easier to make within the timeline. But I like the idea of having a bike valet vest that distinguishes us.
A very, very cursory Google search reveals that most custom printed high-vis vests only do the back. I think we would want the stuff to be on the front. Oh, here's one. That might work. Yeah, it looks like maybe the unit cost would be somewhere around $20.
Would 4 or 5 be sufficient?
Probably something on that order. Right? We don't need 100. You certainly don't need more than 10.
Yeah, I would think like 2 of each size, you know, small, medium, LXL. So maybe 8 to 10. We want to do like double XL or something.
I mean, even if we add in some padding for uncertainty and for shipping, like $200 seems like more than enough. If we wanted to authorize $200. You know, Nick, it seems like you're in the interest of authorizing something quick so that we can get the ball rolling in time potentially for Oyster Festival.
Right.
Correct?
That is my intent.
I mean, our track record is not particularly good ordering things, trying to get them in time for an event that's this close. Obviously there's not really a downside if we don't get them by Oyster Festival, we just use them for the next one. So I'm happy to authorize, you know, something like $200. But I'm also under no pretense that we will necessarily get them by the Oyster Festival. But I think if we do, we will definitely get them in time for the end of the fiscal year in June, which is the more important deadline.
Right. Well, you said a quick search was $20 per, right? Well, assuming that we get 8 of them for like small, medium, large, extra large, that brings us up to 160, and there's like tax and shipping and whatnot. So 200 probably gives us some cushion, but wondering if 250 isn't unreasonable.
Yeah, I think as long as we agree to not spend more than we need to, I think authorizing 250 sounds fine to me.
All right, so can I motion to allocate $250 of our budget to high-vis event vests?
You can. Nick has moved. Manny, is that a second?
Yeah, that's the second.
Okay. All in favor? Thanks, Emily. That's unanimous, all 4 of us. Nick, you'll take on the responsibility of putting the orders together, working with Greg, invoices, tax documents, that whole 9 yards.
Yeah.
Any competing quotes, I'm pretty sure. Right, Greg, you still need 2 if it's under. You need 3 if it's over some threshold, but if it's under that, you still need 2, right?
Correct. So actually, let me just double check here.
I think the threshold's way above 250, but we'll still need 2.
Let's see here. I have it right here. Because they did update it. Yeah, so up to 1,000, we only need 1 quote.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's news to me. Alrighty.
Yeah, they came out with new purchasing guidelines. So it's over $1,000. Well, we'll need 2 quotes.
Cool. Good news.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Nick, I'm gonna add that as an action item for you.
Now, it also doesn't mean that, you know, if you get one quote for $800, that we don't look at somebody else that may do $500. So, you know,
Yeah, don't abuse our money, Nick.
keep in mind, if it sounds way over the top, then let's explore another quote. And also, if preferred, if we can use another vendor that we've used in the past so that we don't have to go through the W-9 process and just quickens it. So try to utilize an existing vendor if possible.
Okay, so Nick, you'll work with Greg on that?
Yeah, we'll do.
Great. Thanks. Moving on. Just checking in, it's 7:07. We have, we only have one more thing on the agenda. That is the yearly written report. I added this, if you recall, on our strategic plan, one of the items is to report to the Common Council every year. This is something that's actually in the ordinance that establishes the commission. We talked about this a couple months ago. The action item I agreed to was to talk to Josh Goldstein. He chairs the Economic and Community Development Committee of the Common Council, which is what TMP falls under, and at least indirectly what we fall under. And his encouragement, his advice was to compile a written report that we can share kind of in the same style that TMP does. I think, Greg, your department does yours around the end of the calendar year, right? As opposed to the end of the fiscal year?
For the Common Council.
Yeah,
So I'm not quite sure what the timing is. Usually Jim is the one that takes that on, so I can't
Sure.
speak to exactly what.
I mean, my
specific
point though is that
time.
you do one, right?
Yeah.
And I read it and I remember being impressed because there was, it took all of TMP's accomplishments and put them in one place. And we can do the same. We did a little bit of this when we were working on our strategic plan, but I want to make sure that it's updated and then formalize it into something. It won't be near as long as TMP because we're not, full-time employees with degrees in this. But at least formalize our list of accomplishments so that we can send that over to the Common Council. And then once we do that, then Josh will get us in front of the committee and we can, go through that our accomplishments in person and answer questions and stuff. And actually, for the first time since I've been chair, fulfill this responsibility that we have. So I had high aspirations to have a draft prepared before this meeting. I don't, but I do have the list that we compiled when we were brainstorming the strategic plan. So I'm going to pull that up, and then it shouldn't take more than a few minutes to, add the accomplishments that we've made since then, and then I'll take it from there. Unless somebody else wants to, I'll take it from there and formalize it into something that we can submit. If you'll recall, Manny led this process back in like January. Can you all see that? Did I lose you?
Yeah, it's a little smaller.
Okay, let
Let's zoom
me,
in.
well,
Or you want to see the whole list?
I'm gonna copy paste this first of all. So I think typically we want this to represent like a year's worth of work. But because we haven't done this before, I think it's probably okay for us to represent some stuff that we've done in more than just the past year. So Yeah, let's add to this 2023 accomplishments, just to go through them really quick. We completed the Bike Friendly Communities application. We put on some events. We put on a lot of events during Bike Month. We had a really packed Bike Month last year. We tabled at some events. We attended the walk audit. We wrote several letters of support, and we got a couple new commissioners. That makes it sound pretty short, but a lot of those took a fair amount of work. So what in the same vein, what would you all add for 2024? Open Streets, I think, was the biggest one in June.
Bike, I would just add the bike valet. I think that's been a big accomplishment.
Bike valet so far at both Earth Day and at the Nice Festival. We received the Bike Friendly Communities Award. Obviously, the work was put in last year, but I think
Honorable mention, yeah.
I think the collaboration with TMP for the project that was accomplished back in June. I think that was a big, I can't remember the name of it, but like
the Complete Streets demo project.
Yes, the demo. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, TMP did the lion's share of the work. I think we maybe helped turn some people out there, but I don't want to take too much credit. Bike Month was not as big of a deal this year as it was last year. We really put in a ton of work last year, but we did still table for Bike to Work Week.
I feel like we've done a lot more tabling events than we have in prior years. Just involvement in events like you wrote there, Earth Day, Nice Festival, Norwalk Night Out. If we do end up doing the Oyster Fest, and then Bike to Work Week. I feel like there were more. I mean, I guess in numbers too, we have like over 350 people subscribe to our newsletter now, and our following on social is getting bigger, which is nice to see. And we have a high engagement rate. I don't know if those are things we want to put on there, but
yeah,
I think those are worth
engagement
mentioning.
metrics.
Sure.
I can look up I can maybe ask you to look up the exact numbers later, but newsletter subscribers. We've got Facebook and Instagram followers. Keeping the website up to date, I think we should get credit for that. One accomplishment that I'm proud of, I want to give Ben Handpeter credit for a lot of this because he worked with me on it. We compiled that master list of bike parking wish list items. I don't remember if that was in 2023 or if it was before. Greg, if you remember off the top of your head, feel free to say, but I want to say it was 2022.
Not sure. Yeah, can't remember off the top of my head.
That's all right. That one I want to highlight in part because it's like a nice concrete deliverable that we delivered. And that we still have on our website. Also, I think we can mention that we've since I became chair, we've aggressively expanded the bike parking map and kept it up to date. Also, Emily, I noticed that's linked on our website. Thank you.
yeah. I feel like in partnership, well, it's mostly led by TMP. We've done quite a few walk audits this year too, at least two, or participated in, which was nice. That there was like a lot of community involvement and input on those.
Yep.
Cool.
There was the one at Fox Run Elementary that I went to, and then there was the one that I was out of town for. Where was that one?
Manny and I went, it was at Cranberry Elementary School. Yeah, shout out to TMP. They did a fantastic job. Jim and Greg and team.
But I think those, those events to show our partnership with DMP, you know, our strengthened partnership with DMP.
Yeah. Greg, anything that I'm obviously missing? Before I submit this, I'll go back and review, you know, our meeting minutes and make sure. But I think this gets all the big things.
Yeah, nothing I could see from what I could see off the bat here.
Okay, cool. Then I will open it up. Is anybody interested in helping me turn what we're looking at here into a formal write-up to present to the Common Council? Even if all you do is like remind me to do it, that would be helpful.
I'm happy to help, Tanner.
Okay, great. Yeah, can you just remind me like twice a week between now and when I do it? Do it?
Yes. I'll get you those numbers on social too. I'll do a little year review.
Okay, cool. Okay. Any other thoughts about the yearly report to the council? Alrighty. I want to thank the attendees who have stuck around this far. The last thing on the agenda is the announcement, which is, I think this is a project of the redevelopment agency, but there's an open house about the new smart city initiative that the redevelopment agency is doing. For those who've been following along at home, you might remember that we submitted a letter of support for a grant that the redevelopment agency applied for as part of this initiative. As I mentioned in past meetings, I'm a big proponent of using, collecting useful data and using it in the city's work. And I think that's exactly what the redevelopment agency is trying to foster with this project. So I'd encourage everybody to attend. It's on the 13th, which is a Tuesday, and I believe it's at 6 p.m. Emily, can you make sure this goes on the calendar, the walking and biking events calendar?
Yes, I can. And it was also included in our newsletter email, a link to the sign
Oh,
up.
nice.
There's an RSVP page. So they ask that you just fill it out before attending. It's online or in person at the South Norwalk Library. But yeah, I'll make sure to get that on our event calendar and on social as well.
Awesome. For anyone who would like to just have the information right in front of them right now, this is what the flyer looks like. It's a week from Tuesday at 6 p.m. It's at the South Norwalk Library if you want to go in person, and you can also register at this link, tinyurl.com/smartcity24, and follow along on Zoom, presumably. No pun intended. Okay, without further ado, I think because we have a little bit of time left, and we have some attendees who weren't around at the beginning of the meeting, I'll open it up for public comment. Oh, we have a hand up. Go ahead, Manny. Oh, that's right. You had an agenda item. My bad.
Yeah, I'll go quickly. I just want to give you guys a quick update. On July 26th, the education subcommittee met to just kind of regroup and talk about some of our goals. One of the conversations that we had was pivoting with our potential video content. I think we want to shift from educating the public on infrastructure to more safety, and even one of the great ideas that was presented was creating the video on what is the Bike Walk mission and what we do and what we're about. And so that's one thing that we will be meeting again on August 9th to discuss further and flesh out. We also discussed, well, on the same lines as the video, I'm going to update the Bike Ballet video to include some more footage of the Earth Day event. And so then that'll kind of give it a little more life than what the previous video was. And then in regards to the Safe Ride, one thing that Emily found was on October 9th, October 9th, there's a potential for there to be a walk roll event happening in the schools. And so we're going to confirm that. And also I've reached out to Joanne Van Zetter, and I'll be reaching out to Kristen Levinsky as well, just to confirm what's going on with that. So that we can partner with them if that's what's happening. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much all we got for the education subcommittee. Anything else, Emily, I missed?
No, I think you got it all covered.
Cool.
Yeah, we're meeting on the 9th to follow up.
Thanks for the report. That October date that you mentioned, is that the nationwide walk, bike, and roll to school date? Nice. Yeah, I hope we can get something together for that. I'm not sure. We talked about that during our strategic planning for this year. And I think that's even one of our goals. Next month in the meeting, we're going to revisit that. But I think we've never actually, or at least not since I've been on the commission, have we done an official one of those events. So it would be really cool too.
Yeah, and I think we're trying to flesh out some of the logistics, because I know the city of Norwalk has a guide for how to do it, but then I know it created a bunch of other questions, and so I think we're trying to get to the nitty-gritty of how to go about it. And if this is already happening and it's already planned, we can just come alongside of it.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Other questions for Manny or for Emily on education? All right. Then, as promised, I will turn the time over. If any of the remaining members of the public have comments, I want to give you the opportunity now. If you have comment, or if you just want to introduce yourself and say hi, the time is now. Andrew, welcome to the Bike Walk Commission meeting. I think I recognize your name, but I'm not sure if you've joined one of our meetings before. So go ahead and introduce yourself, and if you have comment, go right ahead.
Sure. I've been to a few. I generally just listen. I had a quick thing. Unfortunately, I won't be around for Oysterfest, but if y'all need for future events some help moving bike racks and things, we've got a. It's telling me I'm muted. I'm not. Okay.
No, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Cool. We've got a pickup truck, and if need be, we could figure out towing as well, so we can haul stuff around. Just not Oysterfest. And then I had a question for either Tanner or for Greg. I know in the past there have been discussions about possible improvements, but certain things could or couldn't be done because certain roads and certain parts of roads are managed by the state versus the city. I was wondering if there is anywhere a map like pretty precisely delineating what is managed by who, as people are thinking about things and want to provide feedback and suggestions.
I'm gonna kick on Greg.
I guess the best place, we have our, well, I mean, there's no clear map that we just have that just has state routes versus that we have shared externally. We just have those maps that just show where the state routes are internally. But, on the Public Works website, there are some roadway classification maps that do show some of those. So we're updating as part of Complete Streets. We're going to be updating some of that information. So we'll look to get some information, some more better maps up there as well that show those. But any state route classification is managed by the state. Doesn't mean that the city can't do anything. We just have to coordinate with the state and get approvals through the state DOT before any work could be done.
Gotcha. Okay. We'll look forward to those maps and keep that in mind for any suggestions and feedback.
Yeah.
Andrew, thanks for joining and for your comments. Do you have my contact info? I'd love to connect, especially if you're interested in helping out with events.
You might. I think we've texted like a long time ago and then I disappeared. I'm also in the Sustainable Street Squad thing.
Oh, okay. Maybe
But-
that's why I remember you then. I did just look and I do have your number.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, cool. Oh yeah, you joined a meeting like a year ago. I'm remembering this now. Okay. Cool, cool. Yeah, yeah, let's reconnect. I'd love to bring you up to speed and figure out how you can get incorporated with our event work.
Cool.
Awesome. Thanks again. Any other members of the public? Alrighty. Then, without further ado, the last thing on the agenda, as always, is approval of the minutes. I read through the minutes and I found one correction that I've already sent to Delene. Are there any other corrections or motions to approve the minutes from last month? Would anyone like to approve the minutes from last month?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Emily.
Sorry.
A second.
Thanks.
Sure.
Annie, if you approve, then that my vote makes it unanimous. The minutes from last month are approved. Thanks to everybody who has joined. Thanks to especially to members of the public who made it through the meeting this long. I'll now entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, sorry.
Is that Bentley moving to adjourn?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, it looks like Emily has also
I'll make a
moved to adjourn.
motion. I moved to adjourn. Sorry.
Do I have a second? Manny, Nick, and that's me. Okay, thanks everybody. We'll see you next month on not the first Monday, but the second Monday of the month after Labor Day. That's the 9th, I believe, of September. Yes, September 9th. See you all then.